the national pledge and our code of conduct. These three things we take take them very seriously in NIM, and when we do it, we get a bit spiritual in order to ask God to do and make this country a better place for all Nigerians. So we'll start with the national prayer. We'll do it together. O God of creation, direct our noble course, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true, great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Amen. And the pledge, I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend our unity, and uphold our honor and glory, so help me God. And the last will be the code of conduct, what binds all of us together. So we do it together, that I, as a professional manager, will put service above self and will ever seek to find and employ more efficient and more economical ways of getting things done. That I, as a professional manager, accept the most scrupulous and transparently honest and ethical process of thought for all decisions in my daily work, and be myself free of any fraudulent and or corrupt practices, and within my scope of authority, treat all persons as being equal and refuse to give special favors or privileges to anyone. So help me God. Thank you very much. You will be seated.
Thank you very much, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, please join me in recognizing and welcoming the President and Chairman of Council, Dr. Nelson Owuwaga, MNIM, FNI, FPSN. Sitting next to him is the Deputy President in person of Professor Manzali Jubril, FNI, OFR. We also have the National Treasurer in person of Mr. Grant Orukan, FNI. I'm also welcome to the end of all of it. Also seated on the table right before me here are some past presidents. I would want to start with a distinguished gentleman who today is wearing two caps. He's the chairman of today's occasion and the past president of the Nigerian Institute of Management. Please join me in recognizing His Excellency Ambassador Christopher Koladi, CON, CNI. You're most welcome, sir. With him also is our amiable president in person of Mrs. Adeleke. You're most welcome. Seated there also is another past president, Sir Peter Edon, FNI. You're most welcome, sir. Our guest speaker for today's interactive session is a young gentleman, an erudite scholar. Please join me in recognizing Dr. Nelson Olatunji Olani, the Senior Trade Advisor, Permanent Representative to the UN in Geneva, African Business Roundtable. You're most welcome, sir. Some other distinguished personalities, we are all important. Please join me in recognizing Professor Lasisi, Fola Lasisi, FNIM, the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Calabar and the Chairman, Academy of Corporate Management, Georgina Elizabeth Hollis, FNIM and life member of NIM. You're most welcome. Here present, you're most welcome. We have some group tables here. Answer and the Financial Institution Training Center. A round of applause for them. You are all recognized. We move on to the welcome remarks by the President and Chairman of Council, Dr. Nelson Uwagi, MNIM, FNIM. Round of applause for him.
I will crave the indulgence of this distinguished audience to stand on the protocol, bringing you people on board. We have two persons that intend to steer this discussion for us this year. A mentor, His Excellency Dr. Busola Kolade. The second person is away to Davos as we speak now. That's the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria. But I thank God that Dr. Kolade is more at home now than before. So I want to thank you, sir. And I want to thank the past presidents. I really ask God to bless you for us, because you've always been with us. Delegate, you've always been with us, and we need the support, and we need all the mentoring. So, I will leave the chairman of this discussion. If you watch, I'm not wearing a medallion. It is not the usual time of medallions and all that. This is purely a business discussion. So I'll leave Mr. Chairman for this occasion to lead us in the affairs of this morning. It's very 1 hour, so that we can all go back to our offices. I do know also that many of our colleagues, particularly from the finance industry, are still on their way, but I hope they will meet us before the main discussion. The UDA and others are here already, so I want to thank all of you for coming. God bless Nigeria.
This is a business breakfast roundtable. Now, I think we have to agree before we start that we're going to put the emphasis on the business, and if breakfast doesn't happen, we don't mind. Are you with me on that one?
Yes.
And you see, I suspected that it might be controversial. But what I want to say to you is, if we get the business done expeditiously, then there'll be room for breakfast. I want to congratulate the NIM for starting this round of business breakfasts, especially where we're going to discuss issues that are very crucial, not just for the performance of our country today, but especially for where we hope to be hereafter. Empowering our youth so that they can be meaningfully engaged in making some contribution to the development of their fatherland and to the growth of this economy. I'm sure that those who crafted the vision 2020 didn't realize that 2015 would be with us so soon. And it is important for us to understand that the rhetoric of vision is empty unless we develop the human resource to bring the vision to reality. And it is for that reason that I think we should pay great attention to what we do this morning, because this is one of the ways in which we can help ourselves to get to where we say we want to go. It is very important for us to understand that whereas we can say that everybody makes a contribution to the economy, the young people in particular, the youth, have an advantage. First, they are at the peak of their energy, both physical and mental, and therefore best positioned to make this contribution. But second, the point is that they are the ones who can take on the challenges that this country is going to face as we go to the future. Today we're looking at economic developments that seem to indicate that those challenges are going to get even stronger. The oil price is going down, other things are happening. There's insurgency, not just in Nigeria, but around the world. And only people who are empowered to do some thinking and to approach the whole business of making a contribution from an entrepreneurial approach. Those are the ones that I'd like to get us to where we want to go. And this is what I would like us to keep in mind as we participate here today. In fact, I would like each person, please indulge me, think to yourself, as we start this and as we go with it, why? Why is youth empowerment so important? Why do we want to do it? What outcome are we looking for? And if we can agree on that, by the end of this, we will have made some progress. In summary, let me say that we should all understand that our own success individually or as businesses, even as families, our success is sustainable only if our nation continues to be successful. If that does not happen, any success we have is bound to be short-lived. So I welcome you all to this business breakfast roundtable, and I hope you have noticed, if you haven't, you will soon notice that our lead speaker is himself. Can be described as one of the youth, correct? Therefore, he knows. Yes, but I knew he had to agree. Therefore, he is a fit person to talk about youth empowerment, not only because he is in the thick of it, but also because he can open the eyes of some of us who, some of you who may no longer be qualified to be described as youth. I'm separating myself from you. I heard you laugh because you think that you don't believe me, right? But you're only as young as... Thank you. My colleague here says you're only as young as you want to be. And you know, I have this thing called eternal youth. So here we are. But again, welcome everybody. And welcome especially to Nelson. When I say Nelson, there are two Nelsons in the group, so don't claim it too quickly. This is Dr. Nelson Olatunji Olani, who is going to be our lead speaker this morning to empower the youth, or rather empower us as we empower the youth, and as we empower our country to become a place that we all want to see in the future. Today we may not be totally satisfied with where we are, but that's good. If you start from a position of dissatisfaction, you can work towards improvement. Do you all promise to work towards improvement? Yes. Good, thank you very much. Join us youth as we go into this discussion.
I would want to recognize the President and Chairman of Council Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Mr. Mark Anthony Dike, FCT.
Thank you. I skipped Nelson because I'm the only Nelson standing now. Baba, the chairman of today's breakfast meeting, it's always an honor to stand here and speak while you're seated. Former presidents of the Institute and the visiting president of the Nigerian Chartered Institute of Taxation. Well, it's an honor to me, and sincerely, I really don't know what to say. But the president has a way of getting away with all he wants, knowing fully well that when we are at the peak of a major situation in Africa and in Nigeria, which is the largest country in Africa. but I still find time to come because of the importance and the need to develop the capacity of our youth. We believed in it. I grew up out of the system, and it is something we know can happen. Why we are consistently under attack as a country is because we refuse to build our guards. I'm happy I have Baba here. I've been a boy that grew up in various fora where he makes speeches and presentations, business both in London and in Africa here. But I'm sure by the time I'm done, you'll be proud that you didn't waste your time coming to talk to us in London. It is also a privilege for me because I really don't understand why it must be me. But I accepted because this is my back home. Nigeria is the future of us all. I told my 9-year-old son before I left Paris last weekend, I said to him, no matter how you do, you can never be a president of France. It's not possible. Home is home, you're in Nigeria. So it's better you begin to think that you're a black man. So don't really compare yourself with them. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm so honored to be here. And Baba, thank you too for allowing me to stand. But this morning I'm going to it's not going to be really more of the business as usual, paper presentation, long theses, and a whole lot of things. But I'm really going to share some best practices and talk about some things that have led those countries to achieve their set great goals. And today, they are making waves. Most importantly, you talk about the United States of America, they have Silicon Valley today. Silicon Valley, I think by the time they started, should be rated as the hub of hackers. Hackers, people who hack things, dropouts, the hubs of dropouts. People who are not recognized in the society because they could not afford to go to the Ivy League institutions, Harvard, Yale, Columbia, and a whole lot of them. But today, that hub called Silicon Valley has produced several billions of US dollars to support the United States economy to the tune of the 38% of their GDP. This is what we think we should do. And this is what we think Nigeria should be. The only hope for Africa. Others are mixed blood, but we are fully African. And this is what the pride. That as a youth coming from this country should be proud to raise his head high. Something keeps going for us, our survival instincts. In spite of any challenges you're facing, what comes out of you is that you're a Nigerian. And that you are proud, and that you are proud to do whatever thing you intend to do, in as much you are not violating the rules and laws of your host. I will adopt a storytelling method to just give a brief intro. And I'm going to tell the story of a place in Mississippi. We call it the Tupelo story. I gave this story at a conference in Uyo some times ago. And I said it to them. This is a model for enterprise development. At the end of 1930, there's a little county in Mississippi called Tupelo. It was a dying cotton town and the home of an unknown 5-year-old boy called Elvis Presley. 5-year-old. He's a very young man. Baba, I'm happy you acknowledge you are still youth. So definitely the future of this country, the future of Africa, and our future lies in the youth. So please help us to grow. Please. The 5-year-old boy named Elvis Presley, and now one of the poorest, and he came out from one of the poorest, Tupelo County is one of the poorest counties in the history of the United States. This story is about how a local progressive thinker and a newspaper owner named George McLean started a development program that turned his town into a thriving and prosperous community that now later became the top dairy county in the United States for almost half a decade. George began by convincing Tupelo businessmen to invest in the community purchase of a high costly and stall bull that launched the local dairy industry. And most times when he approached them, he would tell them, listen to me, you can afford to make $6,000 out of your sales, but the average per capita income for each home is $600. So he went to all these businesses and convinced them and told them, you need to invest in this thing I'm about to bring to you. He got a very, very restriction. And what happened? He said, you never make more than that until you have increased the amount of money your customer makes. And the average family income in this county is only $600 a year. This was what he told the businessmen. And McLean believed that our social fabrics and our economy fabrics are pretty tightly interwoven. If those who have give to those who intends to grow. The resolve to grow our economy, to grow our system, to be achievers, to be on top of our games. I didn't get to where I am today because my father was able to afford me to put me into all these places. It's just by result and destiny of God. And if you look at it, if we care enough to look for it, we can always find that the trends that bind us all together, and if you look at it, to say that we have an obligation to help each other, and as a result of this effort, Lee County attracted its first industry in 1947, and later became the #1 world upholstery county that produced until 1980. So, a small newspaper boy distributing paper resolved that the county has prospect, went to those who have to share their wealth, invest in growing businesses, or better still, businesses that cannot even be foreseen, which is a major problem we have right now in Africa and especially in Nigeria. People who have got the money, banks, corporate organizations, when a young man or someone just coming out of school comes up with a proposal, the first thing that comes to your mind is that, have you done it before? If you didn't give him opportunity, how will you do it? So that basic trust is what is needed to grow our youth. In the world today, most especially in developed and developing countries, there is a growing force of over 18 billion strong young people who are determined to change the world. I am part of it. I am in the movement. And I'm so privileged that NIM